You don't need to hate yourself to progress and get better. I see so many people, particularly men, in this paradigm and just stuck in this way of thinking that they need to hate themselves to get better. Or at least, if they might not think it, but they're just operating from that place, and I can pick up on that, right? Now, what I mean by this is there are so many people out there who are doing the work on themselves. They are hitting the gym, they're reading the books, they're just in general on the path of self-development because they want to get better. Now that part's good, right? They want to get better, of course, right? That's really good. We all want to get better. We all want to expand to become the absolute best version of ourselves. But the place in which it comes from matters, okay? If you're improving and if you're working on yourself because you fucking hate who you are at the core, and you believe that you're not worthy, and you believe that you're not enough, and you believe that, you know, who you are as a person is just inherently not acceptable or not enough as is, then bro, self-development work is like a band-aid fix to that. Yes, the gym will help you a little bit. Yes, reading the books are positive. Yes, doing all this work is all amazing, and I'm going to like always encourage people to do the work, but the place you do it from really fucking matters, right? I'll share a story about myself, right? So when I was younger, probably how many years ago now? I'm going to say about over 5 years ago now, probably about 5 to 6 or 7 years ago. Let's just say 7 years ago. I'm not going to do the math right now, but basically I used to operate from this place of self-hatred and discontentment within myself majority of the time when it came to motivating me to actually do the self-development work, right? Now, one might argue, well, bro, it doesn't really matter what's driving you to do the work and become better as long as you're actually doing the work and becoming better. And I agree, partially. Okay, so part of that I agree with is, yes, this whole self-hatred and I just really dislike who I am as a person, it can be beneficial initially, right? At the starting point when someone's first getting into their self-development journey, sure, use that self-hatred to fuel you to become better. All for it, right? Where I disagree is where people, particularly men, reside in this self-hatred for their entire life. Like they use it to push them continuously. It's like, bro, like that stuff, you know, it was an initial thing, something that got you in the game, something that got you to work on yourself and got you to start to develop some form of like progression in yourself and in your life. Don't stay in that place. It's a dark place. It's not a place you want to reside in constantly. Okay, I believe that everyone should transition from this place of self-hatred and just extreme discontentment in the self, which, you know, some people don't even go there, but let's say everyone went there. I believe that everyone should go from that place and eventually transition from a place of self-hatred to self-love, okay? You're not going to lose motivation. You're not going to lose drive. You're not going to be a lesser version of yourself when you allow yourself to transcend this self-hatred and step into self-love. I'll speak from personal experience. As I mentioned before, I was going to tell a story. I got a little bit sidetracked. But I used to operate from self-hatred, like a lot of the time, and discontentment, right? Like the narratives and internal dialogue that I was sort of telling myself was, oh, you know, I'm not enough as is. I need to get better so I can feel worthy. Maybe I wasn't saying that one, but that was like a subconscious driving pattern, right? Like I was doing things to feel worthy of my own approval and, you know, even sometimes of other people's approval. And I just think it's very unhealthy. I think that one of the best things I've done is transition from that place of, you know, doing the self-development work from a place of feeling unworthy and feeling like I'm not enough to the place of absolute abundance and I deserve to continue to work on myself. You see, the mentality is different, like pretty significantly different as well. You go from a place of, I'm not enough, I am fucking this, I am that, to a place of, you know what? I am more than enough as I am, and I deserve to be more, right? Like I am abundant, I am loved, I am worthy, I am everything that I could ever want and need. But because I love myself so much and because I have so much self-love directed to me and so much abundance energy, I'm going to continue to rise Not because I need to become worthy or to prove anything to myself, but because I want to. And because I believe that I deserve to be the absolute best version of myself. Can you see here how the paradigm is shifting and how it's no longer from a place of, I'm not enough, I'm not worthy, I'm not this, I'm not that, so I need to do this to prove to myself that I am. It's a completely different world. It's literally night and day, chalk and cheese. Like, bro, why would you want to live in a place of self-hatred? Like, think about it, honestly. Like, we get 75 years if we're lucky. Do you want to spend those 75 years, which, you know, you probably don't even have 75 left, depending on how old you are watching this video. Let's say, realistically speaking, you've got 50 years left, and of those 50, you've probably got 25 really good years where you're young, where you're super active, where you have all this opportunity right in front of you. In those years that you have left in life, let's just say the 75 years, do you want to reside in hate? Do you want to live in that place of feeling unworthy and feeling like you're not enough and just fucking hating yourself? No, you don't, bro. You don't. Deep down, you don't, right? The kid in you doesn't want that. If you connect your inner child for a brief moment, there's a kid in you, right? Like an inner child. And if you connect them, does that little kid deserve for you to constantly tear yourself down and constantly tell yourself you're not enough and, you know, you're not worthy and you need to do this, otherwise, you know, you're a fucking bitch, or whatever other stupid as fuck mentality you're using towards yourself to try and force yourself into motivation? Does that little kid deserve that? No, they fucking don't. They deserve love. They deserve acceptance. They deserve to feel worthy, right? They deserve for you, the self, to come from a place of self-love in comparison to self-hate. You don't need the self-hate, bro. It's an energy, it's a vibration, okay? I don't know how well versed you are in the whole energy and vibration sort of like terminology and understanding, but everything is energy, everything is vibration, everything vibrates on a certain energetic frequency, okay? So if you are operating from a place of self-hatred, which, you know, for visual sake, let's say it's all the way down here, and, you know, you want to attract better things, you want to attract better people, attract better experiences, and just in general, operate from a much better frequency, self-love is an amazing alternative. Why would I operate from self-hate when I can operate from self-love? Why would I choose to constantly berate myself and tear myself down when I can uplift myself and empower myself? If we get the same results, why would I choose the one where I have to feel like a piece of shit all the time? It doesn't make sense, does it? When you actually think about it, when you actually like look at it from a level head, it doesn't actually make sense. But you see, we are creatures of pattern. And when something works for us initially, we tend to run with it for life, right? The whole thing of nothing changes and nothing changes. Once we find something that sort of kind of works, we're like, yeah, phew, we'll just run with this. But the thing is, it can be optimized and it's not the final level, okay? And you're operating from a place of force in comparison to power, okay? True power isn't hating yourself. True power isn't coming from this place of, oh fuck, you know, I'm a piece of shit, I need to do this, I need to work out and do this, otherwise I'm not gonna be worth anything. What, bro? What like, when did you start telling yourself that? Because I know for sure that the kid in you, that inner child, when he was 5 years old, he didn't have to go for a 10-kilometer run and hit the gym and, you know, take a cold shower and do all this stuff to prove to himself that he's worthy. No way. He felt worthy and abundant and loved just as he was, right? He didn't need to do this shit to prove to himself because he wasn't operating from a place of self-hatred. You know, he was more than likely embodying love. As children, we are born whole. We are born in the frequency of love. Look at most kids, right? They're literally laughing. They're always like in this really high frequency. It's only when we get older, and I don't even want to use the word develop because realistically it's a regression. But as we get older and we quote unquote develop, it's realistically a regression. But as we get older, we take on these narratives, we take on these beliefs, we take on these ways of being which just don't serve us. And that's more than likely what's happening to you right now. You've more than likely taken on a paradigm, a way of being, or just in general a habitual pattern internally that you are using to cause yourself or to inspire or motivate yourself, you can say, to engage in certain things. But what once worked doesn't need to continue to be the place you operate from. You can get the same result, you can do the same things, but operate from a much different place. You're no longer going to have to walk around with this harsh inner critic inside, tearing you down, you know, saying things along the lines of, you know, you didn't go to the gym yesterday, you piece of shit. You know, you didn't do this. Who do you think you are? You're not worthy of this. You know, you're a fraud. You don't need that, man. You don't need that harsh inner hatred in your life. We are creatures and beings of love, okay? We want to operate in love. That's literally like the core purpose of so many things is just love. It boils down to love all the time. You talk to the smartest people and they understand this, okay? You can study the most advanced stuff. A lot of things lead back to just loving and being loved, okay? We want to operate in love. It's our natural frequency. It's our natural desire. It's where we want to be energetically. This hatred and fucking toxicity that we put ourselves through, it's unnatural and it's not fucking normal, okay? And I'm also speaking to the men here. Women have a bit, how do I say this? Women are a bit more habitually inclined to operate from a place of self-love rather than self-hate. Like they're more so like empowering each other and themselves, like, oh, you know, you're worthy of this and you're worthy of that, and I'm going to the gym because I deserve the best version of myself. And they're very much so like already operating from self-love. A lot of women, I'm not going to say all of them, but majority speaking, women are better at men at operating out of self-love rather than self-hatred. But men are caught up in this fucking paradigm of hatred and toxicity and fucking like, they are their own worst enemy. And they think it makes them stronger. Fucking hell, bro. I could sit here and talk for 2 hours about that stupid mentality, about the whole thing of like, you know, you have to be discontent with yourself and you have to fucking hate who you are to progress and you got to stay hard. And it's like, what, bro? Why do I have to hate myself? Why do I have to fucking constantly tear myself down to stay motivated? I don't, okay? Not being cocky here, but I am, out of my immediate circle, I am one of the most health conscious people I know, okay? Like I am extremely zoned in on my training. I'm extremely zoned in on my diet. I read relentlessly. I do all the self-development stuff, right? As you know, you would expect. I'm a coach, so you would sort of expect that. But the reason I'm saying that isn't a brag, isn't a boast, anything like that. I'm just saying it because I do all that, but I don't operate from a place of self-hate anymore. And I used to think that if I changed the place from which I operated from, and if I started to operate from this place of self-love in comparison to self-hatred, that I would lose my desire, I would lose my edge. Right? But the opposite happened, really. Like, I was like, okay, I don't have to hate myself anymore. I love who I am. I'm genuinely so appreciative of the man that I'm becoming and all this sort of really good stuff, like real positive talk. And do you think my motivation went to the floor? Fuck no. It went higher and higher and higher because I was speaking to myself in empowerment, in love. And I know there's men listening to this right now who are thinking, oh, the self-love shit, yeah, that's fucking gay. Is it gay, or are you just unfamiliar with it? Is it gay, or are you just so habitualized to self-hatred that it makes you uncomfortable? Is it gay, or do you just not have the capacity to operate from a place of self-love because all you know is self-hatred? Okay? Now, I don't say this to shame men. I don't say this to tear men down. I don't say this in any way and like to make men feel shit about themselves. That's not my intent. My intent genuinely is to help people and to help them step into their personal power. And in this specific case, their self-love. But you gotta be called out, bro. Like you gotta be called out. I wish someone called me out when I was younger. You know, it probably would have been a quicker transition from self-hatred to self-love. But take this as your personal call out. Take this as a sign, take it however you want. You don't need to operate from self-hatred anymore. You can operate from self-love. You can still do the things you're doing and still be super ambitious, super driven, and just super locked in without having to tear yourself down. Self-hatred doesn't solve any problem. Self-hatred doesn't make you have a competitive advantage. If anything, I would almost go to say self-hatred gives you a disadvantage. Okay, you put me against someone who genuinely fucking hates themselves, I'm gonna win. They're their own worst enemy. I am my biggest fucking supporter. I'm in my head like, you're a weapon, bro. I love you. I'm grateful for you for doing this work. I am my own biggest supporter. And this person's in their head like, oh, you're a piece of shit, you're a bitch, you're this, you're... Bro, energetically speaking, I've already won. Regardless to the outcome of whatever this theoretical competition is that I'm creating right now, I have already won. I really want that to sink into the minds of those listening. You win by default when you operate from a place of self-love. Why? Because the dudes and the women in some cases are doing the work so they can earn their own sense of worthiness, so they can earn their own approval and validation and respect. When you already have all those things, you have already won by default. Okay, not that we're competing with other people, right? Like it's unless you're in some competitive field, but like realistically speaking, on a comparison basis, you already win when you operate from a place of self-love. You can't lose. Like, no matter what happens, I still love myself. I'm grateful for myself. I'm appreciative of who I am. I respect myself. It's love, bro. Like, it's self-love. And it's just a beautiful place to be in, energetically. Like, boil it down to, you can go down so many different paths with this conversation, but it is just a beautiful place to be in, to reside in internally. I have no desire to live in a place of hatred in myself, okay? Like there's an old quote, I'm probably gonna butcher it, but it goes something along the lines of, you know, you spend the most time in your own head, make it a beautiful place to be. Don't make your mind and your internal world a place of self-hatred and a place where you're constantly tearing yourself down and shit. It doesn't make you harder, it doesn't make you stronger, it doesn't make you a better person or a better man. It actually just shows the world that you're operating from a wound, okay? Like, when I was younger and I used to hear the dudes around me be like, oh, you know, I'm doing this, you know, because I'm not a fucking bitch. You know, I used to think like, fuck yeah, you know, you're a weapon. That's what I used to think. But now I can see through things a little bit more, see beyond the mask, and I just understand they're just operating from a wound. They're just trying to prove to themselves that they're worthy. They're trying to earn their own love, right? They're actually trying to get away from this self-hatred through their actions. But until they make a conscious decision to no longer operate from the place of self-hatred, they're continuously going to be trapped in an energetic prison. So guys, I hope you got a ton of value from this video. Yeah, if you got anything from it, honestly, just choose to operate from self-love. From here on out, where you are, as you are, self-love, okay? You don't need to look a certain way. You don't need to achieve a certain thing. You don't need to get that girl or that fucking guy if you're a chick. You don't need to buy this, buy that. You don't need to achieve certain things or become a certain version of yourself to become worthy of your own love. Really let that sink in. I'm going to say that again. You don't need to achieve certain things or to become a certain version of yourself to become worthy of your own love. You are worthy of that by default. You are worthy of your own love by default, okay? Get out of this paradigm of you hating yourself, of you beating yourself down, and of you thinking of yourself as a fucking piece of shit if you don't do this. It doesn't serve you, okay? It may have served you initially when you first got into this game of self-development and growth, but it no longer serves you. You don't need to stay in that place. It got you in, yes, but you don't need to, or want to for that case, reside in the energy of hatred for longer than you already have. Get out of it. Start to look at yourself in the mirror and genuinely say, I love you. I am appreciative of you. You are worthy. Start to speak these things into yourself, okay? Is it gonna feel uncomfortable initially? Of course, okay? Your subconscious mind has been conditioned to reject these things. It's not normal, especially if you've operated from self-hatred for a long time. But you do it, and you do it some more, and you do it some more, and the subconscious mind changes, okay? The subconscious mind creates your entire reality. That's a whole topic for another video. But you can change it, okay? You can change the internal narratives you have in your mind. You can change the paradigms in which you operate from. You can change your entire internal world. And as a byproduct of that, your entire external world will change as well, because the external is a projection of the internal. There is so much work you can do. There is so much personal power you can tap into, and none of it comes from this place of self-hatred, okay? Operate from self-love, understand you are worthy exactly as you are, and become the best version of yourself, because you deserve to be the best version of yourself. and you deserve to do the work on yourself, and you deserve to have the best things in life, and you deserve to get everything you've ever desired. Not because you are a fucking piece of shit and you need to prove. No, bro. Change the paradigms, change the beliefs, change the narratives, change everything that you're operating from internally, from self-hatred to self-love. Thank you for watching this video, guys. If you want to work with me in a one-on-one setting, specifically for this sort of stuff, like doing the inner work, changing internal paradigms, changing limiting beliefs, healing trauma, letting go of things that just don't serve you, and just getting your internal world to a point where you're like on top of your game. So then everything externally is coming from this really strong place of self-love and just mastery internally. If you want that for yourself, whether you're a man or a woman, it doesn't really matter, with my one-on-one work, feel free to reach out to me on my Instagram, which is Ricky Gauci, RICKY space GAUCI. I don't even know why I spelled that out anymore. It's literally in the like the YouTube video you're watching, it's fucking right there. But anyway, I still spell it out for those just listening to the audio. And guys, if you got value from the video, subscribe, like, share it with your friends too. Like if you've got a mate who's operating from a place of self-hatred, and you know, like you can just tell, right? You can pick up on these things, especially if you're pretty intuitive socially. If you know he's operating out of this, you don't have to say it to him directly. Let me do the heavy lifting. Just literally send him the video, save yourself the big conversation, send it to him if you genuinely care about him or her, and just say, hey, check this out. I found this video pretty cool. That's it. That's it. Just send it to them, and they can watch it. And if they get value from it, cool. But guys, have a great day. Have a great night. I'll speak to you soon, and I'll see you on the next video. Thank you.